Why is it that people keep doing reactions to Racist Mario? Especially bronies when Racist Mario has nothing to do with the My Little Pony franchise. Why do they keep doing reactions to Smile HD and Cupcakes and some of these other pieces that are pure gore, nudity, cussing, and other gross out factors? Why do we want reactions to this? Is it the shock value of what we're watching, or is it the shock value of the reaction to what is being watched? But more importantly, why do we get this kind of thing wrong? There are so many shows in America that use nudity, violence, cussing, and other forms of gross out humor, and they just fail to be funny. So often, the joke is, he cussed, laughed. He's bleeding, laugh. Someone is naked, laugh. Whatever happened to timing, story, setup? Jokes like these just aren't funny. Things happen. Laugh because they happened. That's the attitude of a lot of these shows that we get over here. And also the attitude of these sort of videos. Things are funny because of build-up and situation and story that leads into the punchline. You come up with a reason for why something happens. Make us want it. Make us expect it. Then you have the payoff when the moment is just right. You don't make the joke obvious, because like Joker says in Batman, if you have to explain the joke isn't funny. You don't drive the joke into the ground, stick it in our faces, tell us what you just saw. You don't tell us to laugh. You make us want to laugh by setting up a situation and having it be a surprise. Even if the joke is predictable, it's the fact that you can see it coming sometimes that makes it a great payoff. Especially if you can introduce a twist to your typical, stereotypical setup. The thing that gets me is that all of the same content that Americans attempt with shows like Family Guy and Robot Chicken and South Park and tons of other shows works very well in Japanese anime. Shows like Bludgeoning Angel, Dokuro-chan, Magical Shopping Arcade, Green Green, Love Hina, Penny Pony Dash, Excel Saga, Puny Puny Poemi, even shows like Elfenoid, the nudity, the cussing, the blood, it's all there. The gross out humor is there. But these shows somehow make it work with their plot and present it in a way that makes sense and is acceptable and is part of good storytelling. With shows like Family Guy and American Dad, the stuff that they present us seems to get in the way with the plot and ruin an otherwise good story. It seems pointless. It seems there just to be there. It seems set up so poorly. And because it's on American television, we can't even get the full benefit of completed fan service. In Japan, at least, you're allowed to show the type of content that people want to see. In American television, unless you're going directly to DVD, you have to cut out and censor some of what is being gotten away with. I don't know if this is the result of a culture that was raised on censoring versus a culture that was raised on not censoring, or if this is just consistent bad writing. But it feels too often that American shows are written by and written for a college fraternity style of mentality, whereas anime is a lot more mature and has a much better form of writing. Now, it's not to say that violence itself isn't funny. It certainly works with Tom and Jerry and Wile E. Coyote. And it's not to say that blood and gore and cussing and all this other stuff doesn't work, because it certainly works with Celebrity Deathmatch, and it works about half of the time with Robot Chicken. The other half of the time, Robot Chicken is just too immature with what they present us. It's more like the writers never really catch on to how to set up a good joke and make it work. It seems that on television and on the internet too now, people want to see nudity and sex and blood and cussing and violence and other gross out type content, but within the limitations of what the censors will allow, and they don't care to take the time to write it into the plot. They just want it to be there, they want it to be seen, they want it to shock people. They don't want to take the time to write a plot where the situation makes sense. In anime, if a character wants to get naked, they'll take a bath or a shower or go to a hot spring. If a character wants to be violent or bloody or cuss or something, they'll build up a tension-building situation, create some kind of rivalry, and have characters fight it out until there is a winner or a loser. In America, shows will pull this content for absolutely no reason. People are doing things with no explanation, no setup, no logic behind it. And it's supposed to be funny. And as subjective as humor is to people, a good number of people, including myself and many of my fellow reviewers, it's just simply not funny. It's almost like we're mature enough to hear this content, but so immature that we have to laugh at this content. Just like a child laughing at a poop joke. But the attitude is, more often than not, if you make a show that is for adults, it has to have one or more of the things that is reserved for adults only, and it has to be slipped in there for no reason because they can. But you see, here's the thing. Adults like to have a good story. They like to have drama and suspense and, plot, actual writing. The idea of an adult cartoon shouldn't be throw in nudity and sex and cussing and all that other shock content. It should be that stuff is allowed if the plot has a reason to use it. In the meantime, allow me to create realistic situations that aren't always sugar-coated with happy endings. Good examples of cartoons that can be enjoyed by adults that use adult content in a way that makes sense would be the DC animated universe. Shows like Young Justice and many of the Batman and Justice League animated movies get the use of mature content right. Shows like Avatar: The Last Airbender and Legend of Korra is another one that brings mature content and gets it right. And so does Gravity Falls. Even certain episodes of Powerpuff Girls got just the right balance of mature to child-friendly content, as did Samurai Jack and the Star Wars animated series. These are all examples of how to make a program enjoyable for adults and teens and other mature type audiences without crossing into the Family Guy, American Dad type of territory. And if you want to stick on what is shown on Fox, or was at one time shown at Fox, shows like Simpsons, Futurama, King of the Hill, and The Critic all knew how to do mature content properly. So did Daria, Celebrity Deathmatch, and the earlier seasons of Robot Chicken. So America's not completely hopeless, nor is anime always necessarily 100% praiseworthy. There are times when anime can be strictly fan service and fail to have decent plot. Green Green being a perfect example of this situation. But here's what I'd like to hear from you. Take a show like My Little Pony or one of the other kids shows that spin on TV, and what would you like to see done with it if they were going to mature up the content? What kind of jokes and gags could be gotten away with on a typical kids show if they allowed more mature content and writing, but without crossing the line into Family Guy / American Dad territory? Would you take a movie like Equestria Girls and toss in things like the middle finger and upskirt shots and shower scenes and things of that nature? Would you have one character toss out another character? Would you have someone throw punches and draw a little blood, not a few teeth out, leave behind a bloody nose or a black eye? Would you do some kind of nosebleed joke or anime-style boob grab? What types of mature content would you slip into your favorite cartoon series that it otherwise wouldn't get away with? Write down a little scene or take the time to animate it or draw it, or however you want to present your answer. I just want to read or see a little situation where whatever idea you've always wanted to see happen, happens. But for the extra challenge, try to present it in a way that makes sense and doesn't feel like forced fan service or shock value for the sake of shock value. Make it work. Make it intelligent. Don't make it simply just there. Anyhow, that's all I have to say about that. So, thank you for watching and good night.